Aloha, everyone, and sorry I'm not able to be there in person at the NHPCO conference. I love that conference dearly. So I'm sorry that we've had a conflict here in Hawaii that I couldn't make the trip to Denver this year, but I'm very thankful to be able to work and partner with Catherine and Jessica on such an important topic for new leaders. My portion of this will be on emotional intelligence as self-care. I've had an opportunity to be a nurse for 20 years. I've been in the hospice space for 15, and all of that time I've been in executive leadership positions, and I've come to learn the importance of knowing yourself and being able to understand who you are and where you're going as a leader before you can lead other people. So before we get into boundaries and what that looks like in a leadership position, we wanted to discuss emotional intelligence and how that builds the foundation for a conversation on boundaries. So the first part of understanding yourself is to know your why. And Simon Sinek in 2009 wrote a great book called Start with Why. And in it, he spoke about great leaders who win hearts before they win minds. And for us as leaders, when it comes to understanding how to influence other people and get them alongside on goals and vision and strategy, we first have to understand where we're going as leaders and then how to be able to influence the hearts of those that we lead. And I think the key thing that I learned out of Simon Sinek's book was that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I think that's the biggest thing for us as hospice leaders is we have such a great story and the mission and the making a difference of taking care of patients with serious and terminal illnesses. And so that's a way that we can help to win the hearts of those that we lead. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And for us as healthcare leaders, it is a I don't like how this is being. I need to turn those off. I don't like this. Aloha NHPCO conference. I am deeply sad that I'm not able to be in Denver in person with all of you all. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with both Catherine and Jessica on such an important topic as boundaries and emotional intelligence. I've been a nurse for 20 years, been in hospice for 15 of those years. I've held many different leadership positions in both nonprofit and for-profit enterprises, and everything from really small rural to big, large-scale urban hospices. So I'm very thrilled with the opportunity to be able to speak with you all today. Part of the conversation around boundaries starts with understanding who we are and having a significant understanding of emotional intelligence. So I'm going to spend the next 4 slides walking through emotional intelligence as self-care and understanding who we are before we can lead other people effectively. So for understanding yourself, first, we have to know who we are before we can lead well. And Simon Sinek in his book, Start With Why, laid out some really clear fundamentals on this. And he speaks about great leaders winning hearts before minds. So as leaders, when we're leading others, we have to have a clear understanding of who we are and how we lead ourselves so that we can gain the energy and have the understanding before we can lead other people. And People don't buy what we do, they buy why we do it. And we have a unique opportunity as healthcare leaders, specifically in hospice and palliative care, because we have such a impactful why and a mission in making a difference in the lives of patients and families who are suffering with serious illness or terminal illness. And so we can use that in a way to help influence and drive our leadership ability with other people in our teams. But we have to have our own internal why and our own internal North Star in order to be able to do that effectively. Part of what I've used in my own personal leadership journey is a personal mission statement. Stephen Covey wrote a book in 2013 on how to write one of these. I think it's incredibly impactful because leadership can be very lonely. And oftentimes we start to deal with all the day to day fires and get really in the weeds, and we can lose focus of our true north and where we're going. We can start to burn out and lose focus. And so I would encourage you, as part of the self-care emotional intelligence experience, is to develop a personal mission statement. And it can really help you, one, when you're looking to make some difficult personal choices, but then also when you're leading your team, it can help be part of the lens in which you help make decisions for your team or for your organization. My specific why is to serve and love others to make a lasting change in our world. And every decision that I make and every action that I take is focused through that specific lens. As we discuss emotional intelligence, one of the biggest things that has changed my own personal leadership experience has been a deep understanding of my strengths, my weaknesses, and my personality types. So, for the next couple slides, I'm going to walk through building your strengths. And I am a big proponent of the Clifton Strengths Finder. I think it does an excellent job of laying out exactly who you are almost in a freakish way. And there's an old adage that has always been that you should focus on your weaknesses. And I just don't think that is true. We have a higher ceiling in our professional and personal lives if we focus on our strengths. And we need to be mindful of our weaknesses, especially our blind spots. And that's what's so excellent about the Clifton Strengths Finder is that it lays out your strengths for you, but it also lets you know what can be weaknesses associated with each of your strengths. So an example for me is my top strength finder is futuristic. So I'm always living in the future. I'm always thinking about things to come and changes and all of the stuff that needs to happen in order to allow our organization to be successful long into the future. But with me always living in the future, one of the blind spots that I have and weaknesses is I don't stay present. We don't celebrate wins well enough, and I can leave people behind. I didn't understand those things until I took this test years ago. And once I did, I was able to really have a clear understanding about while I am very good at the futuristic thinking around an organization, I'm also very present to understand that I have to make sure that I'm bringing people along with me on that. And then the last thing is embracing your personality. I cannot stress this enough for leaders that we, as part of the emotional intelligence journey, have to understand who we are and what makes us tick. I personally like three specific ones. I think they all come from a different perspective, which can help round out your leadership. The first is the Myers-Briggs. I happen to be an ENTJ, but this is a very technical personality tests that helps you understand what makes you tick from a technical operator aspect. My personal favorite is the Enneagram. The Enneagram is a more of an emotional, spiritual type of personality test. This one is incredibly accurate, and I would encourage you to buy and read the book Road Back to You by Ian Cron. I'm a 3W4. I'm the part of my personality is that I'm very forward facing. I am very gregarious type of person when it comes to my leadership. And one of the specific weaknesses about being a 3W4 that I've really had to consider in my own personal leadership is that I can often put on a mask and always make it seem like everything's great, both in my personal life and in my professional life, when inside I'm really struggling. And so that's one of the weaknesses of that personality type. And so I constantly have to be making sure that I surround myself with people on my team who can help pull that apart and see through when I'm saying, oh, everything is great. Don't worry. We're going to make it. And then lastly is the working genius. This is developed by Patrick Lencioni. And this is a team-based approach to personalities, which I think is absolutely fabulous. And so I would encourage you to read those three, do those assessments, and learn who you are from a personality perspective, because this increases your emotional intelligence so that you can be aware of those blind spots. That's the biggest thing for us as leaders, is none of us are perfect. And we have very specific blind spots that can be very detrimental to our leadership journey. And it's important for us, when we know those blind spots, to surround ourselves with people who complement those areas of our weaknesses. And so while, as I said earlier, I'm very futuristic, I make sure that I have people on our executive team who like to get in the weeds and focus on the details. Because if we just had a bunch of Dans, we would constantly be looking to what's happening in the future, and we wouldn't get much work done on the day to day. And lastly, I would just leave you all with this particular thing, is that leadership, or that emotional intelligence or self-awareness, is the leadership currency of the future. We see this all the time with a changing workforce, who are skewing much younger, and who want different things out of their work experience. So if we as leaders don't have a deep understanding of who we are, what makes us tick, what makes our teams tick, then we're going to miss out on that currency that is incredibly valuable into the future. So I'll pass it on to Catherine and Jessica. Thank you for letting me do this virtually, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your conference. All right.